Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fortitude Training Podcast. This is your host, Coach Ren, and I am back with another episode, and I am excited to share more information with you, and I want to get back to more of the details of weightlifting or weight training. And we've gone over how to organize your weight training and what sort of movements you should prioritize and put most of your energy into. And I want to go a little more in depth with that. I want to talk about one movement in particular today that many consider to be the king of all exercises, and that is the squat. Now, I've talked about the squat before, and I've talked about how it's considered to be one of the best or one of the top movements that you can perform and some of the reasons. And today I want to go into why that is and how you can go about getting started and what sort of issues you may run into and how to troubleshoot them and how to fix them. And, well, outside of going to see a physical therapist, which, hey, might be something you need to do, I will give you the best information that I have. And again, if you find that some of these things may not necessarily help you, then you may want to see a trainer, hire a coach in person, or go see a physical therapist to make sure you're moving well. So I just want to make sure I put that out there first, and make sure you go to somebody that understands weight training and lifting weights and even taking that a step further, somebody that understands lifting heavy weights as being an important aspect of your health. So the squat, again, widely considered to be the king of all exercises, but maybe feared by many people at the same time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, okay? Squats are tough. They are challenging. They are taxing on the body. They cost a lot of energy, and they require a lot of effort to do, especially if you're looking to squat heavy and squat to the proper depth, which we'll go into detail more later. They are tough. Training legs is hard. If you've followed anybody that is in the fitness industry or any Facebook group or Instagram group or something like that, you will maybe every once in a while see jokes about how leg day leaves you walking funny, or leg day is tough, or international leg day is Friday and nobody's in the gym because that's tough work. International chest day is Monday. Everybody's in the gym. Everybody wants to get a big chest, right? But then International Friday, leg day, no one's there. International leg day. So why are they so tough? Well, for one thing, you're working some of the biggest muscles in the body, and you're working a lot of muscles all together. And this burns a lot of calories. You're able to put a lot of weight on the bar or hold a really heavy dumbbell or whatever it is that you might be using because your legs are strong. Your legs are stronger than your arms or your upper body. So you're lifting a lot of weight, you're burning a lot of calories, you're taxing these big muscles, and it leaves you just exhausted. And the squat, again, as I've mentioned before, has the longest range of motion of any exercise out there. So you're also moving a great distance in order to execute a proper squat, a good squat to depth. So there's a lot of things at play that make squats challenging, but there are also a lot of ways to get you started. And I'm going to go over some of those today. But what is it that we're working on when we squat? Okay, so from a functional standpoint, okay, meaning what is it that we can stand to benefit when we squat with weight on a regular basis? Well, you can go up and down the stairs easier. You can hike easier. You can get up off the ground easier. You can lift things better. You have more stamina. Your legs are toned. Your glutes, your hamstrings are toned up. They're strong. All right, so from a practical standpoint, you're able to do more. You're able to get up off a low chair easier. You're able to run around easier. Maybe your joints hurt less in your lower body, like your knees, your ankles, your hips. But then what muscles are we actually working? Because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that we're working when we're squatting. We're working muscles of the legs, of course. So we're working the glutes, the biggest muscles in the body, the strongest muscles in the body. The hamstrings, which work along with the glutes, allowing you to stand upright. We're also working the quadriceps, which are the muscles people tend to predominantly think about when they squat, or the quads just above the knees. They feel those burning. But there's a lot of other muscles working as well around the hips that we need to focus on, like the aforementioned glutes and hamstrings. We're working muscles around the ankles. We're working the core, not just the abs, but the obliques, the muscles up the spine, the lats, some of the upper body. There is a ton going on when you squat. There are a bunch of muscles that are contracting, whether they're actually lengthening and shortening like the glutes and hamstrings, or if they're isometrically contracting to protect your spine like the erectors or the lats or the core. Those muscles are all contracting to keep your spine from rounding or extending or leaning to the side so that you don't herniate a disc or something like that. And so what this all does is it strengthens your entire body to be able to move well under load, and it strengthens all these muscles that I'm talking about so that you are able to perform better, whether that is on some sort of sports field or rink, or if that is hiking, just doing something outdoors that you love, or doing things around the house. The squat has tremendous benefits when it comes to pretty much everything in your day-to-day life. And so where do we start? How do we go about doing this? Because some of you listening, maybe you've never squatted in your life, at least not in the gym. Maybe you've never squatted with a bar on your back before, or maybe you've had several knee surgeries, or you've been sedentary for a long time and you don't move around much, and so maybe your hips are really tight. Maybe your upper back is really tight and hunched over. Your posture isn't good. I don't know what your situation is, but I've seen a lot of these things firsthand, and I've helped to correct them so people can squat well and squat low. And so where do we go? Where do we start from? Well, there's several different things that you can do. You can start off by squatting just your body weight and learning and getting comfortable with squatting low and making sure that your joints are properly aligned, your back is straight, and you're not getting yourself into any disadvantageous positions. But if, even your body weight is too much, you can also use assistance. You can use some sort of assistance when it comes to squatting. So if your body weight is too much and you're uncomfortable with getting low because you're tight or you lose your balance, then using some sort of band would be a helpful way to do this. Now, I've got videos of this on YouTube you can find. Essentially, you use what's referred to as a super band, or some people might call it a monster band, but essentially it's a giant rubber band that you tie to like a chin-up bar or something, or maybe like some sort of pillar in your house, something really, really sturdy that you can tie it to, and you get it underneath your shoulders, so you wrap it underneath your armpits, so you're hooked under the arms by this band, and you squat with it, and it helps assist you on the way up. It takes some of your body weight out of the equation so you can get low and do it properly if your body weight is too much for you. So this is a great way to begin if you are starting from ground zero or less, as some people tell me. And so what you can do is gradually squat lower and lower until you hit proper squat depth. Now, proper squat depth is squatting down until the crease of your hip joint is just below the kneecap. Okay, so when you bend over, the crease of your hip and torso, okay, or the point of your pelvic bone, the ASIS, it's referred to as, you can look it up, ASIS, is below your kneecap. Once you get to that point, that is proper squat depth. That is a full depth squat if you refer to powerlifting standards. You can also squat lower than that, and I would encourage you to try to, get a little bit lower than parallel, but parallel is essentially what we're aiming for. So it's a little lower than you probably think you should be. That is proper squat depth. So once you're able to get down that low with the band that you have chosen for your squats, the band that can help you get to that point, then maybe you go to a lighter band and you get a little less assistance. You bear more of your body weight and you work on getting low with that. And once you're able to consistently get that low with that band without much trouble, maybe give it a week or two, maybe more, depending on your situation, then maybe we try going body weight. And we see if we can consistently squat that low with just your body weight, giving you a little more of a challenge, but we want to make sure that your depth is still to that point that I talked about before. Now, what should the rest of your squat look like? How do we actually go about setting it up and performing it properly? Let's go through that step by step, because I bet you're dying to learn this stuff. I know I'm just dying to tell it to you. So, the stance, that's where we start. We got to start by setting it up. If you set up properly, then there's a very good chance you're going to do the rest of the movement properly. And that goes across the board for pretty much any exercise or movement that you do. So, the stance should be about shoulder width apart. So that means from the armpit down, you should pretty much form a straight line from there to your heels. Now, some people might need to go a little bit wider, and some people might be just fine right there. But it shouldn't be much further apart than that. Now, the position of the feet. The feet should be pointed out somewhere in the area of 15 to 30 degrees out. All right, so you don't have to be crazy about pointing your toes out. This is not a plie squat, but most people, probably 9 out of 10 people or more, if you can, if you can do more than 9 out of 10, will need their toes pointed out at least a little bit. Why? Because generally speaking, most people have ankle tightness, and pointing the toes out allows you to rely less on that ankle joint. So your stance will be something that you will want to experiment with a bit. You may want to start off by pointing your toes a little more forward and then see if that works, if you can get to depth. Or you may want to try pointing your toes out a little more if you find that you're really having a hard time getting low enough. Or you may need to use the aforementioned band assist for a little while. Now, if you're a little more advanced, then you can start body weight, or you can start with some weight in your hands as well. But let's get back to what the squat should look like. So we have our stance set up. Our feet are shoulder width apart, our toes are pointing out 15 to 30 degrees, give or take, making sure that, the toes are symmetrical. Some of you might need a slightly mismatched toe position, but that is also pretty uncommon, but something to think about as well. If you have one ankle that's really tight and the other one's not so much,